In this vintage, perfectly preserved Reebok box, I have something really special to show you today, and I'm super excited that I finally found this pair after so many years of searching. Hey guys, welcome back to the Kicks Business channel, and today we're looking at the original 1997 Reebok Reignman. This is the very first signature shoe for the Reignman, Shawn Kemp, that actually was carrying his name. Obviously, he had all the signatures before, the Kamikaze 1, the Kamikaze 2, some other models that he wore that were signature of his, but at the same time, this was the first one that actually was named after his nickname. So Reignman 1, Reignman 2, and Reignman 3 were kind of the line of his signatures carrying his name. I am lucky to own a perfect Reignman 3. Now finally Reignman 1, and unfortunately I'm still missing the Reignman 2, but the search continues, and hopefully over time I can find me a pair in my size that I can add in the collection. And you guys are gonna see them in the close-ups, in the details. I have to say, this shoe is one of those that is kind of the epiphany of Reebok designs and technology implementation at the time. I think the Reignman 1 signifies how amazing the sneaker industry was in the 90s. There's so many details to talk about here. Combination of materials on the midsole, giant hexalite, translucent outsole, solid rubber, we have zippers, we have rope laces, we have all kinds of mesh going on, jeweled logos. I mean, this is kind of like, you see a lot of the things that were implemented in many other models of the time. Shaq models, other basketball models, running models, but this one was one of those that I always loved. Never had a chance to own back in the day, never had a chance to get in the last decades that I've been searching, but finally these popped on eBay and I was quick to grab these, and most of all, they were under $50. A lot of people were asking me, how do you find these vintage sneakers all the time? With a lot of searching. I stay on eBay and other apps that people sell stuff and try to find something on my size. Also, a lot of you guys on Instagram send me links to my size all over the place. And if I see a model that I really want or a model that I think is going to be wearable, normally I grab it. So long story short, let's get back into these and look at the details. Now, first and foremost, perfect, nice, smooth, full grain leather on the upper. Toe box, heel, underlace. This is what shoes need to look like. This is what sneakers look like back in the day, and I miss that time because leathers like this exist today. A lot of companies will tell you they're very expensive. The prices will have to be very high. Maybe, you know, if you buy a lot of Jordans, you know that they finally move on from the pleather and the linoleum style leathers to genuine leather. But then again, we have the prices above $200, so it's give and take. Personally, I think it's a corporate greed. This is my personal opinion. I don't think these materials are as much as expensive as they sound them to be, but that's a different story. Beautiful leather. I mean, I have to say, I love it. I love how smooth it is still, so soft. And then we have the synthetic, which is this kind of a speckled dark green that goes on the outside. This is the synthetic leather implemented. We have some on the underlay right next to that mesh that you can see through. Great detail that were added here is that zipper right in the front. Not really functional because you cannot really zip it up all the way. It's not gonna hold the shoe together, and we know how zippers work on basketball sneakers. They're not very functional. They're more for show because with the power and the force you're putting inside the sneakers, they eventually break off. But the function here is the zipper where it says Reebok on it, has the logo, of course. Actually, the top of the zipper serves as the first, or guiding like a lace loop. So the first holes where the laces are, they're going on like a crisscross through that zipper and going around. And this is one of the kind of the weirdest thing about the sneaker, is because the laces are only 4 lace loops. Normally basketball models at the time and even today have 7 or more. Some had 6, but that's kind of more rare. These are only 4. So you have short rope laces, you tie them up, and provides plenty of containment. Now, sadly, you will see me pulling the insoles out and they completely crumbled upon taking them out of the shoes. They're polyurethane ones, and I wish that the owner of this shoe before had them removed and separated in some, you know, plastic bag or something. Normally that's what I do with mine that are vintage with polyurethane insoles, because they crumble and they create a complete mess inside, which is extremely hard to clean, and they kind of ruin the shoes, become very sticky, and that stickiness gets smeared into the inside of the shoe, the inner liner. Again, extremely hard to clean. It took me probably half a day to clean these ones, try to figure out how to clean everything, using all kinds of methods, try not to ruin the shoes, because if you take those out and just slip on any kind of insoles, any Reebok Athletics back in, they're fully wearable. You guys are gonna see them on feet, obviously, because they are fully wearable. Once you remove those insoles and get rid of them, I threw them in the trash. They're beyond saving. Took a couple pictures and that was it. Right on top of them was just a Reebok logo, nothing really fancy. On the tongue here we have, again, jeweled vector, which is present on both lateral and medial side on the heel. Really like that touch with the mesh underneath. We have Reebok on the pull tab in the back, and again, the massive Hexalite patch that is wrapping all the way, visible from the lateral heel to the medial side and from the bottom. I think this is probably the shoe that I remember that features the most exposed Hexalite on the heel. Luckily, this one is recessed, which is, you know, above the midsole, sitting right underneath your heel, but it is in beautiful, perfect condition. You guys gonna see how clear this Hexalite is. Every single cell, it's perfect. It sits by itself, and it's just like a real honeycomb that you can see. Pressing with your finger and depresses, it still has not lost its properties from back in the day. We have Reebok with giant letters in the back, of course, with a Hexalite branding, and in the front, where the translucent outsole is, we have the Reignman and the logo with the cloud and the lightning bulb. Really like that touch. That was amazing to implement for Shawn Kemp. No stitching in the toe box, but the translucent rubber is extending over the toe box. Abundance of padding on the heel, and the tone is actually held by bungees to the bottom. And actually, this is the last Seattle Supersonics teamed shoe that was made for Shawn Kemp. Unfortunately, after this year, he was traded over to the Cavs, the Cavaliers. So colors became more teamed towards their uniforms, and this is the last one that features white and green and kind of a dark green, and it was what the Seattle Supersonics had back in the day. And that's why this shoe is so important to me. Again, super padded on the inside. Putting those on feet, let me tell you, this Hexalite really feels great. The midsole is EVA. It's never gonna crumble. It's never gonna disintegrate or anything like that. It's pretty dense, granted, but the Hexalite is very nice to have. Sits right underneath your heel. You can feel it, oh, no problem. And just the whole wavy design of that midsole, it's absolutely mesmerizing to me. I love how this shoe feels, how it looks, how bulky at the same time streamlined is. Basically fits the design language from those days of the 90s. And I'm extremely happy to add it to the collection. I have to tell you, I have so many behind me. You guys know I have probably one of the largest, if not the largest, collection outside of Reebok archives for vintage pairs, and keep adding these beautiful sneakers to them. It's incredible to me. I mean, just what Reebok were able to achieve back in those days, and especially considering that late 90s was kind of going to the decline of the brand that ultimately ended their dominance of the early 2000s, or kind of like mid 2000s. But still at that time, mid to kind of 97, 98, 90s, they were still producing incredible sneakers, and these signatures were amazing. I still remember the display in the Reebok store when I saw this shoe, and I was holding it in my hands just like I'm doing it right now in front of you, looking and being mesmerized by this giant Hexalite patch all around, and especially at the bottom where it's like an inch and a half length of that opening that you can see the cells, and you can press on them, and if you place your finger on the inside and press from the outside, you can actually feel the whole board underneath your foot lifting up where the heel is. So yeah, I think the design It's very unique. It's incredible. It's nothing like anything else you can see. Yeah, maybe the jeweled, somebody will make the argument that the jeweled logos kind of remind them of, you know, certain Jordan models, but a lot of other ones also implemented that same technique at the time. What can I say? I'm super stoked to have these. Incredible price. Again, to me, the most important thing is having the model. It's going to become part of my collection. It's never going to be resold. I'm not that kind of collector. And when I see people selling part of their collections or vintage sneakers like that, and they're asking $700, $800, something like crazy like that, I'm like, why? Who's actually going to buy this kind of shoe for that kind of money? It makes no sense. This is such a niche market. Hence, my subscribers are not within hundreds of thousands. But regardless, those of you that appreciate Reebok as the brand, the history, and stick around with me for the last decade and something, I definitely appreciate your support. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video, stay tuned to the channel, subscribe if you're new, check out some of the other videos coming very, very soon. And as always, guys, you have a wonderful day.